Hello and welcome to my channel, Past Meets Present with Professor Kriesman. I am the aforementioned Professor Kriesman, a professor of history and a theologian. Been doing both those tasks for about 40 years. I've been a professor of history at Valencia College for 22 years. I created this YouTube channel to be the home for my public lectures as well as for my upcoming podcast. I am very excited about my limited series, historically based podcast called Unmoored, America Adrift in Historical Forgetfulness and Finding Our Way Back.
The Populist Party, they believed that democracy could be a cleansing agent to government so that government could then be controlled by the people in a democratic way that would then go and fight for us against the enemies.
So if you go back in history, you can see this in both Athens and Rome. So both of those cities, city-states, nations, to use the term we were just using, they had their own attempt at this concept of citizens who manage things on their own. They did two different things. We won't get into the nomenclature of it now, but they did two different things. But in both places, one of the things, and this kind of alludes back into what we were saying last time, that they understood that you had to train the children in an education in virtue. In other words, you had to train them in an ongoing way with what are the morals and virtues of citizen inclusion and citizen involvement. Does that make sense?
It is my contention that what he and Hamilton and these others are doing is pushing us towards Hobbes, for good or ill, right? So real quick on Hobbes, just so you have it. Again, we use 3 or 4 slides, but we just do one. Hobbes writing 40-ish years, 30-ish years before Locke, at the time of technically the Second English Civil War. And Hobbes's point is, no, people are not naturally good. They are instead naturally focused on themselves. They're equal, and they have equal rights. And because they're equal and they have equal rights, and because they are focused on what's best for them, they will naturally have conflict. And he said the conflict will occur in these 3 areas here, which you have to kind of read him to get more of what he's talking about. But to preserve or stop that, you must have, from his point of view, he would have said all, but majority power in the central government. Yes, in his mind, that is best as a monarch, but he conceded it wasn't about monarchs. And before you get too confused and think he's the monarchist and Locke is not, Locke supported the monarch.
We hope happens through this episode, not just this episode, but all the whole series really, is to rediscover certain key historical truths that can guide us. If not backwards, because I understand people going, I don't want to go backwards, but the idea back to safe harbor, but forwards to a safe harbor. How do we do that? What's the right way to do that? And we talked last time about foundation and about how that's necessary, but in particular, it's necessary for a civic structure like we are engaged in. And
we by default became kind of this key player. In the middle of, again, sort of fallout from the failure of the Treaty of Versailles, we felt sorry for Germany, and we thought we could help things by economically stepping into a gap that they were into. It's a longer story, but that's the short version. So that we were tied to Germany. In essence, we were loaning money to Germany, and in some cases giving money to Germany. They were using that money eventually to pay off their debts of reparations to France and Great Britain, who then, of course, were paying back us for the loans we'd given them 1914-19. And if you get that, you now realize why the Marshall Plan was us just giving billions of dollars away. We're just like, yeah, forget it. Just take the money. Let's fix stuff up. We're not going to ask you to pay us back.
Did you like those? That's what you're going to find here. Long videos from my public lectures. I've been privileged to be able to give lectures around the city for about a decade on historical topics, longer on theological topics. And those that I record, I'll be posting here, along with, obviously, the podcast episodes as they come up. And hopefully, there'll be enough interest for a season 2, season 3. I've got some ideas. We'll wait and see how that works out. And hopefully, you'll enjoy everything you see and hear here. And you'll comment and tell me and ask questions, and we can discuss some of the topics of things that maybe you don't enjoy and you want to ask me about.
we're trying to say there's a problem now. The solution lies in the past, and we should see what worked. but we're not saying that in a way that ignores the challenges, failures, disappointments, lack, limitations of what was done in these 250 years.
Right. We've fallen short of our own ideals countless times, but there's a lot in that statement. It's not saying there was something wrong with the ideals. It's saying, hey, we didn't live up to them, so let's not throw them away. Let's recover.
So I hope that you will click the subscribe button, and that you will then, when you do that, you know, if you've been on YouTube before, you understand, you click the little bell, and the bell gets you all the notifications that come when anything is put on the channel, so that you can keep up with the different things that are going on, such as when I do release, or if I release a season 2, different things that are posted, and you'll be up to date on those things.
Well, the American and the idea of the version of citizens of the people is say you have come by instructing or constructing your society on a foundation of morals and virtues that most everybody agrees to, that do not have to be necessarily religiously entwined. But you don't have it done by force in the central government.